Can we all settle down in our seats? We are, as usual, running short of time. We are going to begin the next session, the next panel. The panel is on the right of a child, Article 3 UNCRC. So can we have all those people in the corridor back into the hall, please? Diana Joseph is going to be the moderator for the next panel. Diana does not need much introduction, I suppose. Diana, please come on stage. Diana Joseph is the director of Project Venda India, the managing trustee of the Fourth Way Foundation. Diana believes in making difference in lives through equality, inclusiveness, safety, and empowerment. She has been instrumental in initiating various community-based programs that help create substance abuse-free environment for children, provide equal opportunities for people with disabilities, girl child, and ensure education to everyone. Diana has more than 10 years of experience in working with international organizations, including the UNESCO, was invited speaker to the United Nations General Assembly on the Congressional on Narcotics and Drugs held at Vienna in September 2018. Over to Diana.
We go into the next panel. We have just 2 hours left for lunch, and I think we'll take 15 minutes into lunch because we're running late. Was planned and the lunch was buffered so that if this happens, we still have a long lunch. So the panel right now is on the right of a child and the Article 33 of the UNCRC, need for prevention approach. And this is primarily a very close subject for Venda as a project and close to me on my work and the approach that we've taken at Venda. So who we have as panelists here on stage are 3 very grassroots people who will share in the next 45 minutes about their approach, country specific, about how they deal with children at risk, children who are exposed to drugs and a lifestyle of drugs, and also children who land up in these service centers and have some kind of a alternative to their lifestyle. This more in light of India, where we are struggling to actually come up with something specific to handle with the issue of children and the rights of the children who are exposed to high-risk areas in lifestyle of drugs. So I'll invite Sumnima. She's the executive director of the Child Workers in Nepal. So Sumnima, you can come up. As an expert on child protection issues in Nepal, Sumnima is engaged in policy advocacy on child rights and conducts awareness programs and trainings to different sections of society. As such, social workers, health officials, teachers, law enforcing agencies on a regular basis. As a founding member of the CWIN, Nepal, she has been working passionately towards these causes for the past 31 years in various capacities within the CWIN. Sumnima is the national coordinator of Nepal's Alcohol Policy Alliance and is also actively engaged in advocating for the prevention of drug use in children. She's a former board member of the ECPAT International and a founding member of the Alliance Against Trafficking in Women and Children and Women's Network for Peace. She's also associated with the Duke of Edinburgh International Awards in Nepal. So you will hear something that is very grassroots in approach. The second person here, I'll go with all the introductions so they all go on stage and we say one time, is Mr. Fredrik Gustav. He's come all the way from Sweden. He's the Chief Section Social Service Municipality of Malmö, Sweden. As Section Chief of the Social Service, Mr. Fredrik is the first level manager with responsibilities for the unaccompanied immigrant minors coming to and through the municipality of Malmö in Sweden. Previously, he was caseworker where he was involved in the risk assessments that adolescents might suffer from drug addiction and other problems, and was responsible for assuring the adolescent survival and well-being with discretion in regards to placement in institutions. He also was a social worker at INOM, Drug Rehab Center, which focuses on rehabilitation programs for people suffering from drug addiction. He's also the former chairperson of Save the Children in Sweden and holds a master's in social work from the Lund University in Sweden. Welcome. The third person here is Dr. Rakesh Kumar, the Executive Director, Society for Promotion of Youth and the Masses, India. Dr. Rajesh is a member of the Juvenile Justice Committee, Honorable High Court of Delhi. He's the President of the International Society of Substance Use Professionals, that's the ISUP, India chapter, and is a member of the steering group of the International Drug Policy Consortium. Dr. Kumar is also the proud recipient of the National Award of Child Welfare 2015 from the Honorable President of India. Here it's a very big thing. He had received the National Youth Award given by the Prime Minister of India in 1989 for contributions to the field of drug abuse prevention in India. He holds a PhD from the JNU in Delhi. That's the Jawaharlal Nehru University in Delhi. Welcome, sir. So the first in line would be you. You want to go up? Yes, great.
Something wrong. This one, right? Thank you, Diana, for the introduction. When talking about children, I think all of us actually go weak on our knees. But I think we who work directly with children for several years, we actually stand very tall and proud. We've listened to so many experiences and wonderful ideas around gender and working with youth and prevention, and definitely children and adolescents. I'm so sorry, I can't get it right. So childhood and adolescence is a very, very precious periods of our lives, and it is also when the children get into drug use or are exposed to drug use. But it is not only their behavioral issues that matters. What matters is the adverse social conditions and their family relations and the exclusion that the children also face along with their parents and society. And many children who do drugs are not only facing the immediate consequences of drugs, but also face a huge social stigma and deprivation that comes from their social exclusion. Most of these children are also coerced into commercial sexual exploitation, and many of them also suffer from child mental health issues. Because children cannot be segregated from community or family life, the use by parents and family members also matters a lot, and that also makes a big impact in their present and future. And another big issue for the children also is the challenges in preventing HIV when they start doing drugs and are coerced into commercial sexual exploitation. So in Nepal, Mr. Oja has presented some picture of Nepal, and it's becoming a more prominent problem in Nepal, especially with the urban and urban poor areas. And I work with children from vulnerable communities, and one of the things they tell us is that they use drugs to solve problems. And there's a lot of myth about drugs among children, and the awareness programs that are targeted to children and young people must be, I think, re-evaluated. Every single child, especially children who are more vulnerable to drugs, are who live on the streets, and their experiences have been different. They just start, glue sniffing as debuting with drugs, and then they go ahead with experimenting more hardcore drugs, including intravenous drug use, and they face severe consequences. They fear. They face not only stigmatization from people in society, but a lot of abuse and exploitation from law enforcers as well, and also people who live on the streets who are bullies. And in Nepal, almost 75% of drug users are between the age group of 15 to 30. So it's a whole span of like youth being drugged, I would say. And of them, 6 to 7% users are girls. And some of the drug factors for children, these, I think Mr. Oja also referred to a research with that in 2002, and the children told us that some of the risk factors are personal, where they're vulnerable to like emotional deprivation, low self-esteem, and value attached to the kind of life they survive in. And then it has a lot to do with social factors like social exclusion and stigmatization, and also peer pressure, which matters a lot when you live without any guardianship and survive on your own, on the street-like environments. I'm sorry I'm chewing this lozenge because I have cough. And then it also matters, the bigger thing that matters also is availability. Everything is available for children, actually. The drugs, which are supposed to be so-called controlled by the machineries, state machineries, are available to children, and especially who live on the streets. And how they have contacts with drug peddlers, they have contacts with huge people with huge positions in police, and everyone who provide and supply drugs. And then another bigger factor is actually exploitative situation for children. We also run child helplines in Nepal and run shelter homes for social reintegration. We have intensive community-based interventions, and we've also found that many foreign pedophiles who have exploited children have used intoxicants or drugs to exploit children. And in the last 3 years, we've been doing a project called WATCH, and we've been working with the Central Investigation Bureau of Nepal and have been able to convict 137 foreign pedophiles, some of them being very high-profile pedophiles who used to work with International Labour Organization in Nepal as child labor heads, and they're now in jail. And they were found not to only sexually exploiting children, taking their pictures, sharing those sexual abuse images, and intoxicating children. And then children become addicted to, following the pedophiles. They lure them with a lot of support, help, education abroad, and also with intoxicants. And then one of the emerging issues for children in Nepal, and I'm sure elsewhere, is the danger from online contents. More and more children are using the internet. Everybody, it's just a fingertip away. With 4G and 5G is coming maybe, internet's available. And in Nepal, the accessibility to the internet is fastly growing, even in the villages where you will not have access to maybe milk or a pharmaceutical or a hospital, but internet reaches there. And more children are exposed to online harms, including grooming for harm and sexual exploitation leading to drug use as well. And there have been cases filed by the child helplines we run where children have been sextorted, like use their sexual abuse image pictures, and harmed, and then their pictures were shared, and they were also lured into drug use. And in Nepal, the drugs policy situation is very, very frail, I would say. The laws that we have are age-old, ancient, I would say. And the latest policy would be from 1995, and they do not have any components on prevention, or they absolutely lack gender perspectives to it. And issues of LGBTI people and children is totally lacking. But we actually have a huge opportunity, because now we have entered into a federal system after a long political struggle in Nepal, and that actually allows us to look into our policies and amend them, and also allows to work very closely with the local governments who are more resourced now, who have a more decision-making power and access to resource, and they also have prerogatives to make their own policies at local levels. So there are 753 local bodies we have started working with, and they just give us immense hope of doing something from the grassroots, which can also be applied at the federal state. But when we do the policy work, we must do some evidence-based advocacy for sure. Research is absolutely lacking. We don't even have proper numbers for number of drug users as you had in India. India being so massive, Nepal being just a dot maybe in front of you, yet we do not have information base. That's a shame, and we really have to work hard towards that. Then the most important article for us who are working in prevention of drug use in the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child, the Article 33 actually gives us a foundation to start working in a right direction from policy to the grassroots. We should make our governments accountable to abide by it, to respond to it, and act appropriately. We all know that the UN Article number 33 actually it gives protection to defend children's right to be free from drugs. And then I was very inspired listening to Mr. Hornberg about the human rights perspectives to the drug problem. And when we are talking about children, we're not talking about a section of society who are weak or anything. In Nepal, at least, they are majority. 41% of children in Nepal belong to the age group of up to 16. So we are talking about majority here. We are not talking about some frail, small minority group. And we must give a human rights perspective to whatever we do with children. We have to treat children with dignity and as if they are citizens of today. And when we talk about human rights, it's not just isolated within the use of drugs and substance use. It has to do so much with adherence to their fundamental human rights. That includes survival, protection, development, and more importantly, education. If they are in education, they may not be exploited in workstations or are trafficked for flesh trade or so many other situations they will be protected from if they had enjoyed their fundamental human rights. And then public health. One of the issues people shy away in Nepal, for example, the political parties, so many agencies, they are also into the business of selling health, no? And when we talk about our constitution, the new constitution of Nepal must be the most progressive and beautiful constitution when it's come to children's protection. In our constitution, in the fundamental section of rights, child rights and their right to education and public health is mentioned. But what we do in reality, what policies we have, they do not absolutely at all reflect to what the Constitution has enshrined. So when public health, I think where public health is negotiated, where children's fundamental rights to education is negotiated, then the issues of substance use and drugs would definitely foster. So the legalization or war on drugs may not respond to the wide range of issues related to the drug problem in children. And whenever we start a discourse on, drug use, people either want to take the side of war on drugs or legalization. And for the children who are majority, for example, in my country, where's the voice for them? Then there are many people who are advocating for decriminalization, maybe legalization of drugs, but when it comes to children, as a child rights organization, we definitely advocate for decriminalization of children because we have seen hundreds and hundreds of children who have been criminalized, who were arrested. Their age bar was increased just to criminalize them. If they arrest a 16-year-old, they will just write in paper that they are 18, and they are put into custody, detention centers with the adults, and are sent to adult rehab centers, and their issues are absolutely not addressed, but they become even more, abused and hardcore drug users when they come in contact with laws. And there were several instances where the police, the drug peddlers have a mafia running, and they actually use children to sell drugs and to bring clients. Also within the prison setups, when children were detained in adult prisons, they were definitely vulnerable, but also vulnerable to be using more hardcore drugs, which is much more available in prison sector than maybe in open areas. Then we must look into the perspectives of children. In Nepal, we are very proud. We have at least 30,000 child clubs around the country. We are a country of 30 million people, and we have 28,000 child clubs that are working very, very closely with local governments, local initiatives like the village municipalities and municipalities. They have clubs in the school, the street children have clubs, the children working in various sectors have their own clubs, and they have a say. And their perspectives should be recognized whenever we are doing policy work. In Nepal now we have also become a member of Drugs Policy Futures. We are aiming to start evidence-based policy advocacy for comprehensive, progressive drug policy in Nepal, where children's issues will be given some importance. And as we lead the national alcohol policy in Nepal, we see a lot of challenges coming our way. We've been working for the law to be enforced into action for last 10 years now. 10 years, a decade, and it's still not there. It's a very, very challenging path, but then we have no other way. And then because we work, because the civil society has access and privilege of working very directly with grassroots and children, then the role of civil society must not be ignored by government or law enforcing agencies or in trainings or in rehabilitation or prevention work. They are catalysts, and they know children very well. They work very directly. They have trust from children and communities, and their role should be promoted. And then, of course, media is there. But I was asking people, what does say no to drugs mean? And then, you know, the children who are falling in the traps of abusive, exploitative situations, they would romance the risk. If it's the end, they want to take that end road. They just do not want to abide by so-called normal values in life. They would romance that risk of going ahead, and I will dip down to the death. I want to take that risk because this life does not mean anything to me. So the right messages from media campaigns must be considered. And now with social media like invading into our lives, we must do something with social media for sure, and the message has to be right. Then the national governments obviously should have progressive laws and should have mechanisms. We do have laws. In Nepal, we have signed 28 international human rights instruments, 28, possibly all of them, but what we have in our laws, we have never been able to implement them because we lack resources, we lack mechanisms. Then obviously, when we work directly with children, prevention is the most viable option, and all of us, we know, but when we talk about prevention, it's not only about educating them, having, you know, like, training programs and rehabilitations and harm reduction. It's also about other underlying factors where children are sexually exploited, groomed online, have mental health issues. So all these comprehensive systems have to be in place even for prevention. Prevention is just not going to schools or communities and educating them. It's about creating a safer space for children, so that they stay intact, their dignity is intact, and they're not forced to take this path. We have also started the very first child and adolescent psychiatry in Nepal. That was in 2015, and it took a massive earthquake to start that. In Nepal, we only have a single child psychiatrist, and he's working for us. And in the last few years, we've seen how many? 18,000 cases of child mental health, and we are also starting an inpatient service very soon next year. And lastly, my time is over. Children cannot wait. It's an urgency. It's an urgency to start doing something so that we can prevent children from using drugs, because they are not only our future, they are present. And the only answer is, I think, empowering the children. And the children have proven over the years, over the decades, that they can be their own change agents, and we have to respect them for the voice they have. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Somnima. Thanks. Next, Frederick.
Hello. Do you hear me good in the back? Great. First of all, I would like to thank everyone for coming out. I'd like to thank everyone in the room. I'd like to thank the organizations putting this together, World Federation Against Drugs, Fourth Wave Foundation, also the UN with their presence in this. My name is Frederick. I come from Sweden. I'm going to talk a little bit about what we do there in early risk assessments in families, also called casework. starting early with early interventions, and I'm part of the social services. So we deal with all social problems, so it's not only drug addiction. But basically what we do is that, first of all, you have to have a social service in place where you have caseworkers that look into families. And what they need is they need to know which families to look into. And that requires its own system in society. It requires people giving reports to the social services, a report of concern that here might be a child that might be suffering. There might be some problems within this family. And I cannot stress enough might, because these reports should come from all government institutions. They should come mainly from the school system. So the teachers in the schools needs to be educated into looking and reporting to social services where they see a problem. And they don't need to do an investigation of their own. They don't need to be 100% sure that there's a problem in the family, but that's not their job. Their job is to see a potential problem and report it to the social services. And in Sweden, they are obligated by law to report when they get a concern for a child. And this is also true for hospitals, rehabilitation centers, and most institutions in our society. And this is the first thing that's needed, because otherwise we don't see them, we don't find these kids. Yeah, the legal obligation to report for me is very, very important. And we talked a lot about stigma earlier, and there has to be a sort of trust where you report, that you're not reporting to the police. You're helping the family to address an issue in their family, and you're sending a report to specialists within social services, and they are going to treat that report and that family with care and with respect. They are not going to come in and blame that family. They're going to come into that family and ask questions and try to help. I wrote here, the same goes when you get this report and you start an investigation in the family. You also, in our system, have a legal right to get any kind of documents that you might require. Medical reports, reports from school, and the likes. That might be of value in your investigation in the family, your casework. And we have two types. First, you get the report that there might be a concern for a child in a family. And what you do an initial assessment. And you have 2 weeks to do that initial assessment, and what you do is you invite the family and the child to your office, and you talk to them. I'm going to go through from which points, what you look at in the family. After that initial assessment, you meet them one time, you meet the family one time, you talk to the parents, and you talk to the child. Preferably individually, you talk to the child. And many of us know that you can talk to kids about pretty hard things, difficult things, at an early age, using different instruments. That initial assessment, you answer one question. Should we do an investigation in this family or not? So you have to, in many cases, just say, no, it's not needed. If you need any further help, contact us. And that also helps the schools to report and not to be afraid, and gives the parents and the family a good experience that they listened to us. We came there, they addressed us in a respectful way, and they sent us home. And if we need any help, we can contact them in the future. And or the initial assessment can say that in this family we need to do an investigation, and then they are sent to a caseworker who has 4 months to do casework and investigate the family and the child, the needs of the child. And they look at 3 parts. The parent's capacity, the child's development, and the family and then the environment. And this goes for all problems. This can be a low attendance in school. This can be the kid has drug abuse of their own. This can be the parents have drug abuse. This could be violence in the home. In Sweden, it's illegal to hit your kids. Even if you're trying to do something good for them, it's illegal. Even if it's illegal in your country, you can still work with it. So you look at different risk factors. You have to have something to hold on to, as a gentleman commented here earlier. Because you look at the family and trying to help, and you want to see, is there a problem in the family or not? You have to know, what does research say is a problem and can lead to problems in the future and not. So this is just an example. I'll skip that. These are different risk factors. We have a program that we follow on which risk factors we look for in the family. These are some. These are also some. These are different aspects that we look in regarding the family and the environment and the child's development. We don't do this, we do this very personally. It might not look like that, but the most important thing to look at is the relationship with the parents. And to do that, you have to go to yourself, you have to look at your relationship with your parents. You have to see yourself in the family that you're addressing, that you're meeting, that you're working with. Because we talked about stigma, not to make them any different than you. So we don't go through a checkbook and check to see if there's any problem in the family. We get very involved and listen. And the most important thing that we search for is, what is the relationship between the child and the parents? Who are the parents telling the child that the child are? For example, if I go to my own life, I grew up with a very strict father, and when you have a very strict father, you might be told as a kid that you're not good enough, for example. We talk about these with our coworkers. We all have many problems. Maybe we don't have drug addictions, but we all have our own things that we're suffering from. And similarly, they have their problems, and in many cases, the parents might not be aware that they're telling their kids these things. They might want to create a good life for their kids. They might be trying to discipline the kids. And this is where you come in with respect in trying to talk to the parents about different approaches. And this can be true also with older kids, 16, 17-year-olds with drug addictions, that you can try to help the parents in how to deal with it. I already said this. How much time I got? Okay. And intervention, just a few words about intervention. The most common intervention is to go through the parents and trying to help them help their kids. But we also do place in institutions. Foster care is a very, in my opinion, can be successful. Some cases, the parents can even lose custody of the child, and they go into state custody. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Frederick. Actually, we're looking at the Swedish model to see how we can create something that is very child-friendly in handling cases here. And Frederick is actually working behind the scenes to help us create that, which will be the recommendation that we're going to give at the end of this conference to the governor. And we hope that we will be able to make some changes. Though we don't have a social security system, we are hoping that we will learn from nations where you've been able to successfully implement. Dr. Rajesh.
Thanks, Diana, and organizer, for including children into your 3 days program. Thank you very much. Organization I am representing here, SPYM, which has been working in India for last 35 years. We started as a students of Jawaharlal Nehru University, and some of our friends were drug users. And in last 35 years, we have traveled a lot. Around 10 years back, one of our former Chief Justice of India, Mr. Deepak Mishra, when he was Chief Justice of Delhi High Court, he was attacked by children in a observation home. So we were called and we were asked to do something for children. We had no clue. Please remember, we have been working in this sector for last 25 years then, and we had no clue what to do with these children. And when the children came to our center for treatment, we realized that some of had committed heinous crime like murder, robbery, you name anything. So we were very uncomfortable. We started learning over a period of time, and then we decided to do 2 things. Number 1, develop a policy framework for the Government of India and develop model for different states. And I'm very happy to inform you that we have succeeded in both. Now, this year, Government of India has announced that at least 10 centers for children will be established in different parts of the country, mostly large cities. And we have developed standard operating procedures, how to admit, what are do's and don'ts. It took us time. So I'm going to share the most important and difficult challenge was how to establish that children are in trouble, children are using drug. Most of the surveys started only 18 plus, and 18 plus means the children will be never included. So how to operate this? So I'll skip this because this has already been shared, and please inform me 2 minutes before. This was published last 26 June in one of the India's leading newspaper. And because of this, there was 2 hours discussion in Indian Parliament on 4th of July. So now gradually people have started accepting that there is a problem. This was 2 years back. It was again published in same newspaper. 80% children of a particular area were drug users. Now, this created some problem for the local police, and somehow it was sorted out at the local area. So the second, the earlier paper creeping was very important for us to push this through few members of parliament that please ensure that there is a discussion. So last July on 4th, that was discussed. The problem is it has not been internalized. Like we have large number of organizations working with children, but whenever they have issue, the children have issue related to drug, they simply say, we can't do anything and just take them to some other treatment center. So we have been working with this. Large number of our child care institutions have children using drug, but somehow they get drug inside children home. So that's a convenient way of handling children, those who are using drug. Now these are the studies. Since I have less time, I would like to spend more time on what we have done. And this is available. I think you are going to circulate this. So these are the studies over a period of time in India were carried out by various agencies. And we ensured that those agencies are credible agencies, those who carry out, for example, the first study was carried out by NCPCI, that's the National Child Right Organization of Government of India, in partnership with All India Institute of Medical Sciences. So both are very credible organizations. And I'm also secretary of a national federation called FINGO-DAF, Federation of Indian NGOs, which has almost 500 members all over the country. So most of them participated in that. So we try to develop a lot of evidence or gather evidence to prove that there is a problem in this country, especially related to children. This is that study. One important aspect of children using drug, most of them, they start with inhalants. And I don't know about other countries, but in India, inhalants are not considered a dangerous drug or substance. Unfortunately for children, that is the worst drug. Because inhalants are not drug. It's a simple petroleum product. It's a volatile solvent. Again, it took us 3-4 years to convince High Court, convince Supreme Court, convince various stakeholders that please take this as the most serious issue for children. And now, over a period of time, they have realized, in fact, I'm very happy to inform you, because of various stakeholders' advocacy, Juvenile Justice Act was amended in 2015. And they have inserted section 77 and 78 where if anyone is giving drug to any child or using them as a peddler or trafficker, then they will be punished up to 7 years. Unfortunately, what happened, these inhalants were never part of that section 77, 78. So 2 years back, what we did, with the help of our friend like Dr. Professor Atul Ambekar and others, we helped Delhi government to notify this, that this is also considered as a drug for children. But we knew that this will be challenged in High Court of Delhi. And Juvenile Justice Board, which is a children court in India that's called board, they sentenced one person who was selling selling inhalants to children. That decision was challenged in High Court. So last year, High Court of Delhi said, yes, if you are giving inhalants to children, that will be considered as drug under section 77. So now, fortunately, no one has challenged that decision. So for India, giving inhalant to children will be considered a crime. Look at the number, and this number has come from our friend Professor Atul's initiative and hard work. It's a huge number, but nothing is happening, literally nothing is happening. So, forum like this, we want to highlight that, look here, if you do not do anything, the children, majority of the children, those who come to our center, have learning disability. Because of the learning disability, what happens, some of their friends will say, just smell this and you will be comfortable. So memory loss, the brain gets damaged, liver, lungs, all this. A child who is growing till 20, 18, 19, if doesn't have brain, doesn't have some good quality kidney or liver, even if the child is out from drug, what this child is going to do in his or her life. That's our challenge. So we have been trying to sensitize, and we are very happy that things have started moving. Okay, this is the history. So what I'll share, that evidence is there now. People have started recognizing this is a problem. We started a drug treatment center for children, those who were in conflict with law. Till now, we have treated almost 3,500 kids, both male and female. And we have 3 centers, and those 3 centers have become now like a demonstration sites. Virtually every month we get a lot of judges, a lot of police officers, a lot of social workers, they come. We orient them, we sensitize them, a lot of police officers come. So we do a lot of training, orientation, hand-holding with help of these are 3 centers. These are, in fact, Delhi government is still in denial. Just last week, they said, because I'm a member of a juvenile justice committee, which is a very unique structure in India. All the high courts of Delhi, they have a juvenile justice committee, and since I'm a member of that, so Delhi government said, no, we don't have problem of children. Again, in spite of getting all this information. So judges asked me, can we go to any field, any area where we can see this live? And on 12th of October, 6 judges with Delhi government will be visiting one of the area which we have suggested. So there is a lot of active support and engagement of judiciary, and that has helped us. We always believe early prevention, early intervention, and all the people sitting in the room, they also have the same idea, so I don't want to spend more time. We all are convert. Now, this is a very unique, 2 letters I'm going to show you. This was written by Delhi government because Justice Mishra asked us to start treatment center for children. Initially, we had 10, 15 children. We said, no problem, we will take care. When we had more than 60, 70 children, we said that we can't manage it. If you see the highlighted, SPYM had consented to provide de-addiction services that OHB is a children's jail. In India, it is called observation home. With any financial liability to the government. Now, all the kids, those who are in observation home, they are in custody. And if we are going to treat them, how government organization or government can say that we will not give you a single penny, and touch wood, we have survived without their support till date. Again, the earlier letter, you see, this is 25th January. On 8th February, they are asking us again, please refer to your letter such and such, and you have asked us, and you have to reiterate that you will not ask any money. This letter has no relevance now, but I'm just saying that how government can deny that children are in trouble, children have issues related to substance use, and somehow, we have been working with, thanks to judiciary, thanks to friends like Professor Ambekar, I'm referring him again and again. So we started a treatment program. I told you we have treated more than 3,500 kids. Not a single child has given till date any problem to us. Without resource, treating children, and each child stays in our center around 3 months, 90 days. Large number of these children, those who are now 18 plus, they are gainfully employed. Some of them, if you have opportunity, just go on our, we have developed a YouTube site, SPYM India. You will see some of the children, those who were interviewed by NDTV in 2011, 2012, now they have their family, their children are going to school, and some of the kids committed heinous crime. These are the program, what we keep. How much time I have? Only 2 minutes. First treatment center we started for children, those who were in conflict with law. After some time we started another center for children, those who were not in conflict of law, or they were not caught for committing any crime. So this is the second center. The third we started for girls, those who are below 18. And unfortunately, half of them are HIV positive, half of them have a lot of issues, mental health issue. Most of them come with kids. Some of them are, like pregnant and bring 2 children. So this is about that center. These are the services we provide. We get large number of volunteers and interns who come and support us. Over a period of time, we have developed, because most of the life skills modules which are available on web, are not good for these children. It took us 5-6 years to develop modules appropriate for these children, and all of them have, all these modules have been developed by children, only the language has been put by the professionals. So these are the activities we carry on there. This is, the name was also given by them, today and tomorrow, because there is a program, and most of you know, just for today. So they said, okay, you have told us what has to be done today, but we need something for tomorrow. So these are the materials, and all these materials are available on our YouTube site. What we have done over a period of time, we have digitalized all this material. Of course, unfortunately, that's only in Hindi, but we are trying to, also in English and 4 or 5 Indian languages. So most of these materials will be available or are available for NGOs working in India. They don't have to buy anything, it's all free. These are the children, those who are from our treatment center. These are all games, because the children in our center said, we don't want to study. No, otherwise we should have been in school. So most of our program is through sports and games. I'm very happy to inform you, we developed 2 different models also, peer-led intervention and outreach and dropping center. Last year, Government of India accepted our 2 models, and now they have launched it, and around 200 districts in this current year. In fact, Mr. Sunil Kumar is here, and he is the person in charge of this program, and I think he will share when he is going to chair one of the session. 200 districts, and by end of next 3 years, all the districts in India will have peer-led intervention program, outreach and dropping centers for children, those who are below 18, or those who are not in a position to be at home or in school. I'll just conclude. This is that peer-led intervention. We also do a lot of training program. Just one slide, which is very important. We do a lot of training for teachers, counselors, and I'll show you the impact. This is of East Delhi Municipal Corporation. In Delhi, we have 3 MCDs, municipal corporations, South, North, and East. East is the worst area from the drug angle. The number of children, those who have been screened, is almost 10% children have accepted that in last 30 days, we have used some drug. And they are all below 10. Municipal corporation schools are only up to primary level, class 5. 78,896 children were screened, and if you add this, it is almost like 10,000 plus. 1,40,524, 50% are girls and 50% are boys. But the figure, what you see in second, third, and third, fourth, and fifth column, this is all for male children. Most of them are male children. So, if the percentage will go up to around 15 to 16%. Since I don't have time, so I can't share a lot of things. Thank you very much.
We're actually running out of time. Intentionally, this panel and the next panel is planned around children and family and their safekeeping. So we have the next panel also dealing with a similar subject. I think we can keep the questions at the end of both the panels. We're just running a little behind time, but we'll take one question if it's okay, because it's such an important subject and we just can't put it under the rug, which is what we've been doing. At the risk of sounding very controversial here, as much as we talk about policies in place in India, I'm only talking for my country, at the grassroots level, implementation and enforcement of all of this is a big sham. We are very grassroots people. I was just talking to Sumnima. Why we intentionally put Frederick on this panel is to contrast countries and the social security systems. And for us, it's impossible to even envisage a kind of a social security system that you all have in a country like that. We're very large, and our problems are immense. But that does not keep us in the space of an excuse that we cannot deal with our children and their safety. That should be a priority, and especially when it comes to drugs. We also say that the Article 33 is sandwiched between 32 and 34, which is child labor 32, 33 is drug trafficking, and the third is sex and trafficking. So very conveniently, when we deal with a child with addiction, we are talking about labor, them being used as mules and making money around it, and they are also into the risk of being trafficked or into the sexual abuse problem. So it's a very coupled thing for us when we deal with a child. These issues we can discuss all day when it comes, and we could have an entire conference just working on the safety of the child. One question and we will close, if there is one. Otherwise, we can keep it with the next panel, and Frederick and the others are in the audience, so we can just get up and answer. One? Yes, please. A mic? You.
Just one quick question, unfortunately to both of them, Frederick and to Dr. Rajesh. For Frederick, it was really wonderful to know about this amazing mechanism in place in your country. I have just one point of curiosity, that in spite of having such a wonderful mechanism in place, I think you also shared about some issues of drug abuse among the children, school children below 16 years. So have you made any study as to what are the challenges which the social service workers face? I mean, is it any failure on their part, or there are certain challenges which they cannot overcome so that it ultimately results in drug abuse, despite there being such a wonderful policy in place? And one for Dr. Rajesh. It was really wonderful to know all about what you are doing, but just one point of curiosity from the legal point of view. You said the Delhi government took out a notification notifying inhalant as a drug for the purpose of JJ Act. Yeah, for the purpose of JJ Act. But I think this is restricted to the territory of Delhi. It won't, huh? No?
Let him say that, then I can.
Okay. So, yeah, so I have just that curiosity from you. I mean,
thank you. Very good question. See, that notification was only for Delhi. But since it was challenged in High Court of Delhi, and High Court of Delhi has given the judgment. So unless and until it is challenged in Supreme Court, that is valid for the whole country. That is the legal position as on date. Thank you.
Thank you for your question. It's a very hard question to answer. A short version is I don't know. But I do want to tell you that we do have a big problem with drug addiction in minors and in children as well. The first step is for me to see the problem, that the problem comes to you, that you have some kind of system to see these kids, where the kids go to schools, and where the problem is being noted there and being referred to the right parts of government or NGOs or that can deal with the problem. And then how to do it and how to address it, I don't know. We have to continue to discuss that. Thank you.
So thank you very much. The next panel is ready to come up, and I just have to do the honors of giving you that memento. So. Thank you, Sumnima. Thank you so much. Thanks, Frederick. Thanks, Mr. Rakesh. Yeah. Thank Thank you so much.
We are quickly going to go into the next panel. The next panel is going to be moderated by Dr. Edward Arfad. I welcome Dr. to the... Dr. Edward is a distinguished academician, trainer, and motivator. Dr. Edward is a syndicate member of the Sri Sankaracharya University of Sanskrit Kaladi, the director of Cochin Heritage Research Center, St. Albert's College, Ernakulam, and the joint secretary of the Conference of Catholic Bishops of India, Office of the Laity, the former president of the Kerala Catholic Students League, joint secretary of Kerala History Association, and co-founder of the Vasco da Gama Research Institute of Cochin. Dr. Edward was also knighted by the Vatican. So over to Dr. Edward.
Let me quickly call upon the other panelists to come to the stage. The first one is Augusto Nogueira from Macau. Please come forward. Then we have Mr. B. Chandrasekhar, IPS, from Punjab, India. Thirdly, we have Ms. Frida Ayu Nur Haiti from Indonesia. Welcome. As you know, we are already running a little late, so we'll have to be quickly moving forward. I will introduce them, all three of them, so that I may not have to intervene in between. Mr. Augusto Nogueira, President, Association of Rehabilitation of Drug Dependencies in Macau, briefly called ARTM. He pioneered the needless syringes program in Macau. This ARTM currently runs one needle syringe program, one aftercare department, 2 rehabilitation services, and 1 prevention department, all in various parts of Macau. He's a member of various government commissions that tackle the problems of drugs and work for AIDS control prevention. He was very influential in advocating the necessity to change the drug policy law to allow the implementation of the needle syringe programs and the ban of the law that punished the possession of paraphernalia. Over the years, Augusto has been advocating methods such as MTAR, methadone till abstinence residential, that allow the users of heroin and methadone to seek help in the community center. In 2015, he was awarded with a Medal of Merit by the Portuguese government, and in 2017 was awarded with the Medal of Community Services by Macau SAR. Please welcome Mr. Augusto. Then we have Ms. Frida Ayu Nur Haiti, co-founder of Surabaya Peer Counseling and member Green Crescent Indonesia. As co-founder, Surabaya Peer Counselor, Frida's focus is to create crowd helping for vulnerable children and adolescents who suffer from bullying, abuse, and depression. From 2018, she is a member of Green Crescent Indonesia Addiction and Prevention, focusing on smoking cessation program and advocating healthy lifestyle. She's also an active member of Komunitas Peduli Schizophrenia Indonesia Surabaya branch, a community supporting schizophrenia patients and caregivers. Frida is currently a psychiatry resident in medical faculty of Air Lagana University, Indonesia. Please welcome Ms. Frida. And we have Mr. B. Chandrasekhar, IPS, Inspector General of Police, Special Task Force, Punjab, India. Mr. Chandrasekhar has been doing excellent work in the STF and has assisted in design and implementation of enforcement, de-addiction prevention strategy of the Comprehensive Action Against Drug Abuse program of Punjab government. He has won the Police Medal of Meritorious Services in 2011, DG Commendation Disc in Central Industrial Security Force, Government of India in 2012. Punjab DGP Commendation Disc for successful conduct of elections in 2017, and was All India Police Golf Champion in 2016. He has done Masters in English Literature and Masters in Police Management. He also has an advanced diploma in German. Please welcome Mr. B. Chandrasekhar. We'll go into the presentations. I invite Mr. Augusto.
Okay, good morning. First of all, thank you for the chairman for the introduction. And I'd like also to thank you to the Projeto Venda and to the WFAD for the invitation to allow me to come here. So, good morning to everybody. So, actually, I was I should speak something different about the reintegration process from the people that they were in our treatment center, but then they changed for this topic. And so it's not my, actually we do work on this area, but it's not my specialty. So kind of a rush, I spoke with Bjorn, what should I do? And he told me, well, just present your work that you are doing regarding ARTM, actually Be Cool project, then is that what I'm going to do? Yeah, so I'd like, okay, just, so I'm Portuguese and I'm working in Macau for 26 years. To those who don't know, Macau is a very small area. It's a special administrative region of China, so I live in a special region, let's say. It's a very narrow, very small place, only with a 700,000 population, so we are very little. The main official language is Portuguese, is the Cantonese and Portuguese. So both they are official language. And jumping to the subject, we have a different kind of schools with a different curriculums, so Chinese, Portuguese, international, so different nationalities, different customs, different habits. Most part of we have, I mean, when we focus about drug prevention, we need to focus also in the kind of nationalities, because if we are talking about Chinese, so mainly they are using meth and ketamine. And if we are speaking about the Portuguese or the expact, we are talking then about cannabis, and now a little bit increasing the meth among the people we call Mecanese, which is the mix between Portuguese and Chinese. So there's Portuguese and Mecanese, and the English people, normally American, they more focus in cannabis, and then the people from Philippines and also Mecanese and Chinese are more heroin, ice, and ketamine. Heroin mainly is the old people, 60, 50 years old, so it's dropping a lot. We have around 600 people using drugs registered in our central register, so anyone in Macau is going to the doctor, to the hospital, or being caught by the police or whatever, they'll do a registration, and we have a central registration and the data will go to that central registration. So according to that data, we have around 600 people using drugs. So the place I work is ARTM. We established in the year 2000 as ARTM, but we already come from Portugal with a different name since '93. But then happened some situation, we split and we transformed in the ARTM, and since then I'm in charge. The ARTM, I mean, we work in the four pillars. We work in treatment, prevention, harm reduction, policy advocacy. So this is our office, I mean our facilities. The therapeutic community is a new one. It was built by the government in 2016. So it's a male and a female therapeutic community. Then we have the aftercare, supporting people that leave the prison, or supporting people that finish our treatment program, or people that are just stabilized on methadone. Then we have the prevention department that we call Be Cool project, the one we're going to talk about. And we have the harm reduction department, which we call the needle syringe program. So it's like a day center where the people can go there, exchange needles, get new ones, have lunch, have dinner, have a shower, or just stay there the day. We have counselors and we have nurses to support them. And basically, most part of the people in the therapeutic community, they are coming from our needle syringe program. So we managed to refer a lot of people to the TC. So drug prevention in Macau, we have a good system, cooperation with the Macau government. We have the Narcotics Commission. We have the Youth Drug Commission that normally every 3 months we join together, NGOs, government departments, education department, police, that we all discuss how the things are moving on in Macau according to the youth consumption. We have the quarterly meeting also between NGOs and the government, in this case the social affair. We also have a cooperation with the government to build, to make this newsletter we call Smart Family. Also, the government is providing the life education support, which is the Giraffe Herald, this program from Australia. I don't know if you have heard, mainly for the Chinese community. And regarding RTM, we also have a family monthly meeting open to the people to the families that they have their family members in the treatment, and open to anyone that have a problem. So I'll just focus about our work in generally. So, but the government and other NGOs, they are working in the prevention to the Chinese community. But we have agreement with the government because I'm Portuguese, we have to speak English, we don't speak Chinese. So we focus in the Portuguese community and the English-speaking community. And the government and the other NGOs like YMCA, Sengkongoi, Don Bosco, they focus in the Chinese community. So Be Cool project. I mean, we've been working in the prevention since 2005, going to the schools, but then we are very small, not many people working, and we noticed that we are being, taking out our focus from the treatment, and so we decided to speak with the government to open this Be Cool project in 2011, so we could separate the teams, and we have a team just focused in treatment, and one team just focused in the prevention. So at the Be Cool, we target the youth between age 11 and 25 years old, Portuguese and English speaking. That doesn't mean if someone Chinese go to us, or we welcome and he can join, there's no problem at all. We develop youth personal and social skills, help integrate in the local community, because there are many Filipino kids. They are coming from the Philippines, so they need to be integrated. They need to be, unfortunately, there's kind of racism between the Filipino and the Chinese and the Portuguese, so they try to not go along. So if we have many Philippine kids coming to our place, then the Portuguese kids will not come because they are sons of the mates. So it's kind of racist, unfortunately. So we promote a healthy lifestyle while developing youngsters' self-esteem and self-confidence. We provide support to the community regarding social and psychological problems, family, behavior, emotional issues, and also it's a place where the people just can go there, hang out, play some soccer game, whatever, and stay with us all day. So we do also schools drug prevention since 2005. We focus on learning and practice personal social skills, coping with the stress and negative emotions, decision-making, resistance skills, change perception of the risk associated with the substance use. We dispel misconceptions about expectations, because we can see a lot of the information about prevention that is not real, is not true, like those ones, your brain is burning, all that stuff. So the kids, they see these kind of things, they try to tell them that is not the reality, that's what they need to believe. And also, when we do prevention, because we know, unfortunately, some of those kids eventually they're going to use drugs one day. So we also try to give the message: if you're going to use, I mean, how you need how to prevent in order you don't have an overdose. So we also try to teach them in a way they understand that if they're going to use, better not. We hope not, but these are the consequences if you do the things in a way that should not be. We create a lot of awareness campaigns we see after. Parents associations, we go to the parents association to talk also about drugs, to the school teachers. We also have a support from the education department where we try to give guidelines to schools regarding the international prevention on the standards from the UN, how the schools should deal with when kids are using drugs in the schools, workplace talks, communities, church, neighborhoods, associations, Scots, and Flying Eagle Association. It's a Chinese association with thousands of people going to this to have kind of a military training, something like that. So we also one of the activities of them is to bring them to our treatment center, where we provide them some drug prevention as well information. So we also focus in other activities, violence, domestic, alcohol prevention and information. We are discussing now to ban the selling alcohol to the youth below 18 years old. I think this year, at the end of the year, there's going to be a consultation. Tobacco also not allowed to sell to the minors just since last year, if I'm not mistaken. Sex education, information, HIV/AIDS, drug law dissemination and research. These are other works that we do in our team at the Be Cool. So these are our facilities. They are very small, very small. I think Bjorn been there, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not so sure, but they are very, very, very small. But in next year, around March, we're going to open a new place, a bigger one. So we are very eager to for the next year. So activities for the teens, we do a lot. So to create awareness about the effects and consequences of the drug abuse. To guide teenagers, so we take them to the beach, we take them to a lot of going out with them as well, so they can, because most part of these guys, they are Filipinos, they are Vietnam, so we try to engage them in the, oh, Jesus, the time's up. So school drug prevention informative talks are going to jump out that we are doing. This is the research that we do in the schools. So when we ask them, when we ask them if the 12 to 18 years old, for Form 1 to Form 6, English and Portuguese curriculum schools only. And we have, so most part of the people have tried alcohol, as you can see, but 45% of the students never try alcohol, tobacco. And have you ever tried illegal drugs? 335 people said no, 85%, so they never try. If those ones have tried, the main is cannabis, as you can see. And opinion to how to avoid using drugs, most part of them, they said parents' communication is the best way for them to avoid using drugs. So this is just research that we make from the schools. They have much more questions, but I just choose these ones. So we have a newsletter made by the kids that are going to the Be Cool. So we want them to go out to make interviews to the people, to the director of the social fair, etc. So they be involved and engaged in activities. We take them to camping. Okay, we have a basketball tournament, Porto Be Cool. We connect with another institution, which is the official football team, Porto. So we connect with them, and then our kids are competing in the national level in Macau in the basketball. So it's if you drink, don't drive, because we got a sponsor from a bar, so that's why. So arts and crafts, we also do dance and competition. So we engage in a lot of the bands, engage music, and also improve to make more bands, local bands, to come out. Drug and awareness drawing contests. We are cooperating also with the University of Macau, making posters about HIV, sex, and also about alcohol. And we engage with the celebrities from Macau to come to our place and to give positive message to the kids. They can just play around. We have psychological support and counseling to them, not only about drugs, but also issues regarding family problems also, mainly about family problems. And we also have family group support meeting every month. They can we have a gathering with the families, families of those ones are in the treatment center, families of those ones are in the aftercare program, families of those ones that are in the needle syringe program. So it's open to all kind of families, and where they can support each other. Parents workshop, which goes for many things: HIV, drug law, substance abuse, a lot of subjects that we engage. On the 26th of June, we try to celebrate this day with all the communities, Portuguese, Filipino, Vietnam. So we engage, because it's a universal, it's a transversal problem, so we engage in all the communities. And this HIV/AIDS, actually we just won yesterday as the most creative prize from the Red Ribbon, because we went to the streets with these two beautiful guys to promote safe sex education. These are our ARTM, Harm Reduction Department, our needle syringe program. So not only provide needles, but also we go to the hospital to visit the people and refer the people to treatment. So, and this is, in Macau we have a low prevalence of HIV/AIDS. So this you can see out and in means the syringe that we gave and we collect. So how we collect, when they give the syringe to us, we provide some needles and we provide some cup noodles or coffee or Coke or Fanta, whatever they want. So according to the number of needles they provide, if it's cup noodles, for instance, if they give 10 syringe, we can give a cup noodle with a sausage or the egg, so it improves the, so that's why we have around 85% of return rates. And I think the most important is that we have 0 infection of HIV among the people that inject drugs for 4 consecutive years. And that is thanks to the needle syringe program and to the methadone program. And these are our conclusions. Prevention works, but we cannot forget that there's other factors that can lead to the experimentation. As someone was today saying that unfortunately we cannot have drug-free societies and communities, and we need to face that and build our strategies in realities and not in fantasies. Prevention works, but we cannot forget eventually someone will be trying and might be a dependent, and we'll need to adequate support, treatment, and help. So our efforts, and I listen here, many problems here for the women, for instance, here, I listen, there's no treatment for women here around the region, looks like. So these are the things that we also need to advocate for the women here, have also treatment and a place to go. Prevention works, but we need to be realistic and truthful when we are providing. We can reduce drug use and supply in our communities, but we need for that to fight as well the corruption, the lack of treatment, the lack of harm reduction measures, the lack of human values and the poverty. Drug strategies need to be built as a whole: prevention, treatment, harm reduction, policies, and law enforcement. No one should be sentenced to prison solely because of using drugs. Alternatives should be considered. And families always play an important role in preventing, but also in supporting those ones in recovery. So, and these are a big cool team that they are working an amazing job. And our Antonio Guterres, my fellow Portuguese. And this is a case of what doesn't work. And thank you very much.
So, next to Mr. B. Chandrasekhar, IPS Inspector General of Police, Special Task Force, Punjab, India.
Good afternoon. I would be speaking on behalf of the Punjab government, what we have done so far. A lot has been said about the problem of drug abuse in Punjab. As the Indians know, Punjab is a northwestern state. It has its own geographical peculiarity. We have had drug influx from across the border. Nowadays, there are newer routes being explored from Gujarat coast and from the northeast also. We have based our response to this problem based on 2 surveys, the 2015 survey of AIMS and the 2019 survey of NDDTC. We have been, in the sense the Punjab government has been working closely with Dr. Ambekar. Dr. Bhola also has been our consultant. And of late, we have started working with SPYM also. We have been devising strategies and policies also in response to this problem. This is the survey of AIMS. This is the magnitude of substance use in India. If you look at Punjab, 28.5% of the population, approximately 27 lakhs, they require treatment. Cannabis, 5.7 lakh people require treatment. Opioids, which include opium, heroin, and pharmaceutical opioids, 7.2 lakh people require treatment. The others are sedatives, inhalants, cocaine, amphetamines. This is the implementing structure we have in Punjab now. There is a cabinet subcommittee headed by the CM. There is a special group on drugs constituted and headed by the Home Secretary. There is an apex committee headed by the Chief Secretary, and since we consider it as a mission to eradicate this drug problem, we have formed district mission teams headed by the district magistrate, and in every subdivision there is a subdivision mission team. There is a senior IAS officer appointed as the nodal officer to coordinate efforts of all the government departments, and we in STF, Special Task Force, we are the key implementing and coordinating agency. The overall comprehensive approach has a three-pronged strategy: enforcement, de-addiction, and prevention. Enforcement is what we do as police officers. We implement the NDPS Act. We apprehend drug traffickers and put them in jail, and basically aim to cut the supply chain. And for demand reduction, we have two strategies: the de-addiction, where we treat the drug abuse victims through the de-addiction centers, rehab centers, as well as the OAT clinics. I would take a few minutes on the OAT clinics. This is an outpatient model where the drug addict need not be admitted as an inpatient. He can come to the clinic, take his medicine, and carry on with his daily activities. We have about 181 OAT clinics functional at the moment. The third aspect is the prevention strategy. Unless we do prevention, the enforcement and the de-addiction would not be of much use. Prevention has again three components. There are two programs running in Punjab at the moment. One is the DAPO program. DAPO stands for Drug Abuse Prevention Officer. Any adult member of the society can volunteer to supplement and work in this drug control program. He is a common citizen. He does volunteer work, and he is given awards recognition, but it is purely honorary. The second program which I'm going to talk about, because the topic is about the school and the family, that is the buddy program. Buddy program, I'll come to that in detail. The third aspect of the prevention is the awareness programs being conducted by the Punjab government. Now the buddy program. It was launched on Independence Day last year by the CM. This is the buddy program logo, that Tu Mera Buddy. In Punjabi, Tu Mera means you are my buddy. This is the buddy program scope. It covers approximately 40 lakh students from 6th standard onwards up to the university level in the state. It is not a pilot project, or it's not a pilot program. It is a complete program covering the whole state. Because we feel that this problem needs to be tackled now, because enough damage has already been done. And it covers approximately 3 lakh teachers and college lecturers. It is implemented within the classroom. Nobody comes from outside to do this program. It is within the school and the college itself. The teachers and the lecturers are trained through a group of master trainers at the subdivision block level. All the teachers are going to be trained. Almost about 60% of the teachers and lecturers have already been trained so far. The master trainers, they are basically from all the government departments. They are trained at the state level. And the training material is uniform throughout the state to ensure clarity, uniformity, simplicity, and certainty. The buddy program, Punjab means 5 rivers. So we have the 5 pillars of buddy program. The foundation is positivity. It is not a negative scare campaign. It is based on positivity. The 4 pillars are peer support of the buddy group, guidance and supervision of the teachers, partnership with the parents, and the support of the administration, and long-term engagement. This is the structure. If you see, there are 5 buddies. The senior buddy is the class teacher. There is a nodal officer in every educational institution. Remember, this is a structured program. We don't just go lecture and then come back. It is a structured program with a well-defined structure with clearly defined roles for every level. And the principal or the head of the institution. The principal reports to district nodal officer. There are 5 departments involved in this. Departments of school education, higher education, technical education, medical education, and Department of Health. The subdivision mission team, which I've already told you about, the district mission team, and the state government. Who are the stakeholders in this program? The students, teachers, nodal officer, principal, parents, district authorities, STF, and the state government. And all stakeholders, we are in constant interaction. The teacher is the pivot of this program. As I already told you, nobody comes from outside to tell them about what is the good or bad about these drugs. The teacher is the pivot, and he is termed as the senior buddy because maximum learning in the students is through peers and teachers. And the teacher also gets benefited from this program because the performance improves. The process of formation of buddy group. Buddy group is basically, the buddy group is from 3 to 5 students, and it is from within the class or the section only. The class teacher is the one who forms the buddy group because he knows about each and every student. And while forming the buddy group, he takes into consideration the temperament of the students, the academic levels of the students, and it is not any fixed group. It can be shuffled as per need. There is a weekly period. Every Saturday, half an hour is allocated for interaction among the buddies. And there is a monthly awareness period where all the buddy groups come together and then exchange ideas. These are the awareness material which we provide to all the schools and colleges. Short videos, role plays. Role of a buddy. What will the buddy do? Buddy is basically a student. He will protect and guide other buddies in the group. It is a peer-led program in that sense. There are 5 questions which the buddy will answer. Can we go to the is that on the presentation mode? Can you click on that file? Not on it? 5. Click on that 5. Hyperlink on the 5. It's not there? Okay. Okay, go back. Click on the 5. Yeah. These are the 5 questions to develop the skills in the students. What are drugs and their ill effects? Each student is taught these 5 questions and to answer them. Who is a buddy? What is a buddy group and how does it function? How to say no to drugs? Because research has shown all over the world that merely just saying no is not going to help. We have to do other things also along with it. How to recognize the signs of drug abuse in your body and what to do if these signs are observed. These are the 7 skills we seek to develop in all the students. We have developed all these material in consultation with psychologists, eminent educationists in the state. Assertiveness skills, refusal skills, confrontation skills, thought modification skills, decision-making skills, conflict resolution skills, and self-esteem skills. The role of the teacher being the pivot, these are some of the roles which a teacher is supposed to perform. Provide solutions to, I think all of you can go through. Indicators, click on the indicators. Next one, yeah. These are the indicators which a teacher is supposed to observe. Physical indicators, academic indicators. If any of these things are observed, then it is likely that the student is going into drug use. Behavioral indicators. Coming to the role of the nodal officer, he is supposed to coordinate all the buddy group activities and the buddy program in the institution. Principal is the mission leader in the institution. He is supposed to provide infrastructure. He's going to implement, monitor, guide and support. Ensure family support and counseling mechanism for the students and the family. And he's going to be the coordinating person for all the stakeholders involved. Parents, since one of the aspects is also involvement of the family. Parents in Punjab probably do not interact with the children as much as it is required. So there is a concept called upward filtering, which we try to tell the parents about. Upward filtering is where the parents learn from the children. What are the drugs and what is it that is happening in the school and all that. These are the things which parents are taught to do. And like I told you, this program is based on positivity. We encourage children and the schools to do one positive activity every day. It could be sports, it could be any hobby, it could be any co-curricular activity, NCC, NSS, any kind of social service. And positive activities because we encourage them to do because they aid in natural release of endorphins, serotonin, oxytocin, dopamine, and adrenaline. The DMT, SDMT, district mission team headed by the district magistrate, subdivision mission team headed by the subdivisional magistrate. These are all the responsibilities. It is a win-win situation for the teachers, the educational institution, as well as the state government. Most importantly, this program has been designed to be cost-free. It is not going to cost anything extra to the state. We are using the existing infrastructure, the existing teachers, the existing schools, educational institutions. We are not hiring anybody from outside to implement this program. And the children have confidence in their teachers, so they listen to their teachers, they have faith in their teachers. So this is what we have designed so that this thing, the existing infrastructure can be put to use. And because we mix students of different temperaments and academic proficiency, the weaker students are clubbed with stronger students academically. And we have started getting reports that the performance of the weaker students has also improved after this. These are some of the research we have done before launching this program. All these are, you can go through. Social interaction skills, we also encourage them to develop this. There has been tremendous response to this problem in all the North Indian states. The 5 states, 7 states in fact of North India have come together to tackle this problem. There have been 2 regional conferences of the chief ministers, and the states involved are J&K, Himachal, Punjab, Rajasthan, Delhi, Uttarakhand and Chandigarh. An interstate drug control secretariat is already established at Panchkula, where information is shared on real-time basis, not just about enforcement, but also about other activities. The Punjab model of all these DAPO program, buddy program, they have been adopted by all these states with suitable modifications as per their local requirements. This is it about buddy program in Punjab. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chandrasekhar, for the clear and crisp presentation of a beautiful program. We'll go to Ms. Frida. She's from Indonesia.
Good afternoon, all. Thanks God, I'm taller compared to this podium. And last session, last discussion in this session, we will discussing about the roles of family and school in working with children and students. Okay. As we know, addiction has very diverse causes. It involves complex interaction between the individuals, such as neurobiological, psychological, personality traits, etc. And the individuals is interaction bidirectional with the environment, such as family conditions, school, peer, culture, and access to substance, etc. Studies have shown that most of substance users have started using substances before 18 years of age, and the fact that generally young people start using substances because of the peer pressure they had. Furthermore, children who have been recognized as high risk in terms of substance abuse and addiction have lower ability to endure failure compared to the low-risk group. And I'll give you illustration. All of us know that family is considered as the first environmental factor for developmental changes, especially the affective, emotional, and social development of children. During the first years of life, babies must form at least one reliable, consistent, nurturing relationship in which they feel unconditionally loved and completely cared of. And psychodynamic perspectives show us that lack of responsive parenting in early childhood has also been linked to behavioral problems later in life, including emotional problems, aggressiveness, violent behavior, and of course, substance abuse. And unfortunately, ability to cope stressor and endure failure is not given after birth. It was created by design through warm and healthy family and good parenting skill that takes into account the stages of child development. According to psychosocial theory, children ages about 2-3 years old develop an autonomy for her or himself. They always want to try to do everything themselves. And of course, the result often not perfect. Okay. Parents who do not understand the stages of the child development sometimes upset and then respond with over-criticism to the child. This seems trivial, but in fact, this is a forerunner to the occurrence of self-esteem disorder later. Child and adolescent with low self-esteem have risk factor for addiction. Thus, providing knowledge about appropriate care and responsive parenting in family is one of the efforts to reduce risk factors. These two illustrations show that the role of family or parenting care cannot be ruled out in dealing with addiction. And appropriate strategies such as prevention and early intervention to reduce such risk factors and enhancing the protective factors that taking account family and school is urgently needed. Children became the main focus of handling addiction. Commission on Narcotic Drugs, UNODC, Vienna, in Ministerial Declaration, mentioned commitment to safeguarding the future and ensuring that no one affected by the world drug problem is left behind by enhancing the effort to bridge the gaps in addressing the persistent and emerging trends and challenge through the implementation of balanced, integrated, comprehensive, multidisciplinary, and of course, scientific evidence-based responses to the world drug problem, placing the safety, health, and well-being of all members of society, in particular of youth and children at the center of the efforts. And it's also UNGA's outcome document was the product of years of discussion within and between member states and with contributors from CSOs at the national, regional, and global levels. The document describes how countries should be tackling drug-related problems. The outcome document set out 7 chapters. 2 of them are demand reduction and cross-cutting issue about drugs and human rights, youth, children, and women and communities. So many programs developed by many organizations. The program implements in a range of different activities, such as student empowerment program, teacher sensitization program, which equips teachers with the necessary skills to approach and discuss the topic of substance abuse with students, positive parenting program, community participation program, and other alternative pursuit program which enable teenagers to channel their energy toward positive goals. And we, Green Crescent, is one of NGO that very consistent in working with children, family, and school to protecting society and youth from harmful habits and making them aware of dangers and harms of addictions. We also offer the program called TBM, and before TBM, Green Crescent has some small-scale programs that effective only at local level. It means individual programs, so unaware of each other, and works without a sustainable structure and assessment. Okay. This is the TBM has been developed taking into account the prevention standard established by the UNODC and Turkey sociological culture. TBM has prevention training modules for preschool, primary school, secondary school, and high school, and also adult as well. Okay. The modules consist of totally about 18 modules, and the modules can use in other countries after cultural adaptation. The modules translated into Russian, Arabic, Bosnia, English, and French. Indonesia is going to adapt it as well. The work for cultural adaptation is to be doing in collaboration with the Green Crescent team. And TBM also developed an assessment and evaluation tools and manual of the program consists of 2 parts with which the level of knowledge and sensory evaluation. There are 12 provinces has been selected according to notes in sample, and the result is TBM is effective for making adolescents and children have positive emotional expression and enhancing knowledge about drug and addiction. There are some other programs Green Crescent offer as a complementary action of TBM to complete the TBM mission regarding informing and creation of awareness. They are life skill training program and program on addiction intervention in school. YBEP main objective are enhancing coping skill, such as ability to say no, managing negative emotion, etc., while OBM main objective is enhancing school counselors' intervention capacity. This is our program. And the last, my message is, it is true that children are potential market for drugs, but they are also a potential market for healthy life fighters. The choice is in our hands, whether we want to take it or not. 7 chapters of prevention effort in the UNODC document can only be carried out by professionals who are healthy, and psychologically prosperous. Although addiction involves many causes, I see that preparing children to have high tolerance to stressor is quite important. Creating people who are physically and psychologically healthy to become fighters for a healthy lifestyle must start early. Thus, the smallest environment of these children, the family, school, must be prepared. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Frida. So we've been discussing the role of family and school in working with children and students. I'm well aware that we are running a little too late and the lunch is waiting outside. But maybe we can take just one question. And, oh, somebody is already standing up. So maybe one question, and then we'll continue it with discussion on the sidelines. So,
thank you for the recognition. Myself, Jesreel to the use. It's not a question, but a view that I would like to raise. So I had stood earlier, but I was not recognized. But there was a small thing that Ms. Sumna had mentioned, and it triggered me so much to stand up today. The statement was respect for the voice they have, and that meant the voice of the children. And myself being a 19-year-old, I think I should raise this voice and for the teenagers and the children. So what was mentioned, one point that I would like to really take down is the peer group pressure. It is really real, and it is a point that I would like all of you to keep in your mind. Why? Because for a new user or for a new child, the statement is always that he doesn't want to, but he always has to. And that is also real, because seeing a person take drug for a student or for a teenager or for a child, he or she thinks that it is a sign of respect or a mark of respect, and he should do it. And this initially forces one to fall into this trap. And in the end, he cries out with the statements, or they say, once they have fallen in, they are afraid to get out, or they are afraid to reveal themselves. So what I suggest is, in order for a new child to not be in this trap, I suggest that the youth or the children or the teenagers be given an opportunity to mark their respects. How? By saying that they are not into drugs. And I feel they should be given the chance to be youth ambassadors, or maybe, teenagers who just stand out so that people just think this person or this delegate is a person who's well off or well enough, and he's away from these drugs, and so that people recognize them and respect them. This respect will bring a huge change. And this can be done because mass media is in its booming stage, and this is something that everyone should do. So I conclude my statement by saying that what I said now is because I want to do and I had to do. Thank you.
thank you. Nice to hear a young voice. I'm sorry a few hands are up, but unfortunately we will have to conclude. And thank you very much. Thank you, the panelists.
After lunch, we have an open forum where we have around 1 hour. You can ask all your questions to your respective speakers. So don't worry, keep your questions. We will give you a chance to ask it. So right now, we're going to break for lunch. Please, I have few instructions before you go. Let me remind you. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. You can carry on while I... as mentioned, there are workshops tomorrow. Can you please register for whichever workshop you'll be interested in going for? The child-centric approach to prevention, care, and recovery, prevention strategies and cannabis example, role of enforcement and options for youth involvement in creating substance abuse-free environment, role of youth in civil societies in creating substance abuse-free environment. The sign-up forms are just outside this door. Please take a little bit of your lunchtime to just sign up to your respective workshop. And then We have a 1-hour lunch break. We're not going to take away that time from you. We are adjusting it with the next session. So please, let's break for lunch.